Alright, good morning everybody. I am solarcell007, accompanied by the man, the myth, the legend, Black Sliver right here. We'll be playing Secret Evermore for you. Before we get started, I just want to say that from the bottom of my heart, this is a horrible category for this game to run in. I can't believe it got accepted. There is just so much left up to RNG, permanent missables, it's insane. But thank you for giving us the chance to showcase it here at ESA. Do we have the name for the boy?
It is Badger. Like the animal.
Alright. Thank you to everyone for donating for this name. Starting the time is kind of awkward for how you usually time this game, so we can probably just start whenever I hit on OK. So yeah, we can go ahead and get started. We'll count down on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so Evermore, if you haven't seen this game, is similar to Secret of Mana. It's more of a westernized version of it. It has some of the same game mechanics. Whereas Mana might have elementals and MP, we actually have alchemy and alchemy ingredients. And so we're going to be picking up things as we go, because at the beginning of the game, we're very, very squishy. And our first goal is actually to die, which is a little different from what you might expect in a game you see here. So we'll pick up a few more ingredients. We'll start this mini boss fight. Try to die as quickly as possible. Alright, we'll take that. Yeah, our main source of damage dealing in this game is going to be alchemy spells, and so we're going to be picking up ingredients from these gourds and from little locations on the ground. Also be picking up some things for selling later, because it's mainly a scavenger hunt at the very beginning of the game. We need money to purchase things for 100%, and while I'm talking about 100%, we can kind of talk about what that entails. But before that, do we have the dog's name ready?
It is ready. Give me a little second right there.
Sure.
It doesn't seem to have changed, so it seems like it will be Rush.
Okay. Thank you to whoever was voting for Rush. Very generous. Okay, so the gist of this story is you're going to be in these different acts in the game, and you're going to meet a main story character. This is Fire Eyes, and she hails from the same place that you come from. But before you even have a chance to figure out how to get back home, she's going to send you on a mission to the East Bugmuck to try to rescue the village alchemist. She's also going to give us our first alchemy spell that we're not going to equip. We're going to find something a little bit better coming up. So 100% in this game is considering you get all armors, all weapons, all alchemy spells, all call bead spells, and all charms that you would carry to the end of the game. So we're going to be making our way. I'll try to point out whenever I'm picking up a spell, because we don't really have a good chance to show it on screen. We can get out of the menu pretty quick. For a marathon, we'll be making a few different saves to ensure that nothing bad really happens to the point that we have to reset. Alright, so for the small price of purchasing one item from this guy, we gain the ability to sprint for the rest of the game, which makes it a lot more interesting. Sell everything we have so that we can run down a few screens and be able to start purchasing ingredients for the first actual spell we're going to be using in the game. Okay, so right before that, we're gonna do this little trick. We're gonna pick up ingredients in a special order. And Sliver, do you wanna go ahead and...
Yeah. So, for some reason, the devs thought it was a good idea to make a pickup influence the next pickup. And you normally can pick up with the dog, but you can influence the value with the dog. So you can pick up an item with the dog without picking it up. This sets the value, so the next pickup will be a different amount. This allows us to make better routes for ingredients.
Thank you. So we are a little unlucky right now, only having 9 HP left on the boy. In this game, if the dog dies, then you have items to revive him and the game continues on. But if the boy dies, it's game over. So we did make a safety save there. We were going to make anyway. A little unfortunate. We're down to 9 HP. I was doing a little glitch there. Well, not a glitch there, I guess we call it.
Normally these bridges break down, but you can jump over with the dog and switch characters to lose control, so they won't fall down.
To be expected at 9 HP. Alright, that's why we're going to load for the save. So what we were trying to do there was actually walk through the maggot that was hidden behind that bridge. There's a little bit to a setup to get that to work properly. Sometimes he'll actually just walk a little too far, or he'll kind of scoot a little too far down south and we won't actually be able to get through him. So we'll just try that again. Not too much of a time loss to get back to there. That Evermore luck right there. You ever seen something like that before?
Nope. So we were supposed to kind of unload the maggot, but the dog died, so we couldn't pan the camera for it to unload. Yeah.
So we're gonna still try to do something called intro skip, but it's mainly just to show it off. We're gonna go ahead and pick up this dog biscuit out here, bring the dog back.
So what Solar is attempting to do is enter 2 map change triggers at the same time with the 2 characters, basically, by holding the boy in place, jumping with the dog, the trigger, and frame perfect switching back. This makes this bridge not collapse and the boss fight start kinda different, which is required for the Thrax outro skip later. So the outro skips works because you can, the bridge did not collapse already, so you can run into the trigger and you gain control of the dog and can move inside this cutscene, which you shouldn't be able to, and can jump past this guy.
Like we did get perfect outros. That bufferless outro skip right there, when you do that bufferless, you save 9 seconds. We'll pick up a few more things after that first boss. We're going to start purchasing setup for the final boss of this act. Do a little bit of a quick alchemy cast here. Get some extra money so that we have enough to purchase some armor in the town coming up. But first, we're going back to Fire Eyes to let her know that we rescued Strongheart. And she's going to give us a very important item called Call Beads, which we'll be using for the rest of the run. So she lets you know that she's also from the same town you are, and that her grandfather was running an experiment on a mansion on the hill. And that if we go up north to the volcano to figure out why everything's starting to cool down, we might actually find a way back home. So for the rest of Act 1, we're going to be relying on alchemy to really get us through the kind of boss fights and mini boss fights. But that's not going to last for very long. At some point, it's going to catch up to us with how squishy we are. So even from this beginning, we're going to start preparing for the main glitch of the game called Atlas Glitch. And we'll talk about that whenever it shows up. This guy will give us Defend, which is a key aspect for the Atlas Glitch. Sliver hut right there. Alright, we got lucky, nobody grabbed us right there. Now we're gonna do the same kind of mechanic to go through that flower right there. So we could technically go into the volcano to get towards the end of Act 1, but this is 100%, so we do have to pick up that frame perfect grab right there. We do have to pick up the levitate spell, otherwise it'll be missable for the rest of the game. Pick this up over here. I missed a clay somewhere on the way to Thrax, so we're getting back on the good clay count right now. Okay, so something that I wasn't expecting to see this early on, but we will probably see from the rest of the run is something called, we call it cutscene RNG. So whenever a trigger happens that you need the boy and dog to get to a certain position, the game actually gives you different options on how to get there, and some options take more time than others. So we get the heal spell there, and we get the horn spear. So the horn spear is actually really nice. It allows the boy to run faster than when he's carrying other weapons. So very useful for a speed run. This little gauntlet right here is a nightmare. I'm gonna try to get through here without dying. Probably heal. Get done purchasing here, we'll probably heal. So we do have one safety pedal that'll carry us, hopefully, to the final boss of Act 1. So yeah, this guy's on top of the volcano. He's gonna give us levitate to move that rock that was right in front of the volcano. But he's gonna say that we have to go to the swamp to pick up a mud pepper. We're not actually gonna do that. Safety heal right here. So luckily we have a little bit of a reaction time to dodge enemies, and even if they attack. Oof. Game is mean today.
I guess what you didn't say is that that you can have the dog sniffing while pressing R, and he doesn't move. So whenever you can, you will let him stay at the beginning of the room so he can take damage and he can die. Which is super awesome because you can change back to the dog and switch rooms. Points. Like if you need only one item from a room, then.
So hopefully we don't get hit here because I'm kinda hurting on HP.
Okay, so these rocks that Solar skips through, we call it rock skip, and it works like skipping through the maggot, etc. But the first rock you can skip in multiple ways. You can unload it or you can leaf through it. And who found it? First rock skip?
So I accidentally, probably 8 years ago, oh my gosh, accidentally found that you can actually skip through those rocks. Thanks for putting the spotlight on me there.
Yeah, sure.
Alright, so we got that hidden speed spell, so we're good to move on to the next part of the volcano. Still hoping we don't get hit. Should be okay now. So, movement in Evermore, you're going to see me running diagonal with the boy as much as possible. That's actually faster than sprinting directly up, down, left, or right. It's actually opposite for the dog, so the dog's fastest run speed is going in one of the cardinal directions. But since we have the Horn Spear right now, which you don't have in the main categories of the run, we'll move with the boy when we can because he's actually pretty fast with the Horn Spear. We're gonna have our safety save right here. Double check something real quick. Alright. Alright, so this is Magmar, the final boss of Act 1.
The final boss period.
Yeah. So I'd probably say 80 to 90% of runs in Evermore end on the first screen because of the flowers. Most of them outside of that end on this guy right here.
So did we explain 8 casting? Okay, you're not supposed to cast 8 spells at once, but if you control the dog and open the boy's menu, you can, and weekly cast, you can cast 8 spells of a type. And if you see Solar opening a text menu like that, that's to combine the damage of the hardballs, so it's not 8 hits, but 1 bigger hit. It kinda cancels the animation of the 8 hardballs. And in addition, we can cast call beats or animation spells, so we can cast more than 8, but we have to cancel the animation under some circumstances because it could softlock otherwise. And first try Magmar.
Oh, yeah. Was worried about him. So, unfortunately, we really didn't have a lot of time built into the estimate to show off an Easter egg that Black Sliver found very recently concerning something from the introduction of the game, which we skipped all the way to this cutscene right here. You want to talk about that while this is going on?
Yeah, why not? So, we skipped the intro because this is more or less New Game Plus. But if you play the intro, there are 2 enemies you have to kill. And if you have 0 shots left in your bazooka that you have for the intro, and you kill the enemies, it sets a flag that will spawn right at this screen. It will spawn an NPC, an additional, which is kind of an Easter egg. I don't want to spoil it if you don't show it off.
Glad you said that because I was going to spoil the heck out of that. Alright, so this is Act 2. We are separated from our dog. And yet, he feels very close and nearby. Wonder why that is. Oh look, there he is. Tucked away in the top left corner of the screen. So we actually need the dog right here to save a little bit of time. We're going to try to get through this ravine. Look like we're levitating. Where'd my NPC? Thank goodness.
So what Solar did right there was an aggressive lead when you attack with a character and you switch on the next frame. The chances are that the boy is gonna run away from enemies or in the direction you're looking or in random directions. And you can skip over triggers by doing that. Normally the train trigger and you can skip over it. But so now we enter the market. Nice.
Oh, thank goodness.
We have to get a lot of stuff for 100%. So this is very tight. When we skipped over the desert with the, I want to say, debug feature they left in, and entered this town, we started a 15-minute timer, and it's kinda tight for 100%. We have to get a lot of stuff. This is the Atlas spell we need for the Atlas glitch that's coming up soon. And these are the items we need later.
Yeah, so that's gonna be it for right now in the market. We're gonna go back down to where that ravine was. But just as quickly as I went up through the desert, I'm gonna try to get down through the desert. A little trickier to do. The kind of pixel you need to hit while sprinting is a little tighter. Might take a few tries, but hopefully... Oop. Okay. So if that doesn't happen anymore. Lost a little bit of the input right there. Monitor went blank. Alright, so this is the cutscene you're supposed to see as soon as you get to Act 2. You're supposed to walk in this cave, see the blimps here who we don't meet in this category until Act 2. And we get this cutscene with your dog showing you that you're actually in the palace of the market town that we were just in. So you'll notice while you play through this game that in each act we go through, your dog actually changes shape. And each dog has certain attributes that make him really good depending on the situation. So in Act 1, that dog was super, super fast. Alright, typical categories, we would usually get Crush, but we're actually not going to equip Crush here. And we're going to make our final safety save of the run. Alright, let's go RNG. I'm going to try to do this Atlas glitch. So just like how we started the run and we wanted to die, we want to die again, but we need the boy to suffer a little bit before he dies. As dark as that might seem, we're actually going to go for a few status effects before our HP hits 0. Alright, so we get poison. There was a 1 in 8 chance on hit to get poison, so that's pretty good. Now, 1 in 4 chance to get some kind of status effect from this Mad Monk. Not lucky, so we're going to go back out and get poisoned again. So if this takes too long, I'll reset just because we are on this tight 15-minute timer.
You want me to explain how the glitch works?
Sure.
Okay, so it's basically two glitches. One is you get poison and Atlas and die and revive yourself, which underflows your attack value. And the other glitch is by having 5 status effects, you kinda destroy the one value for the boy, so you're invincible. And to make that happen, we have to get poisoned. Then we have to get another status effect from the Mad Monk down there. Then we have to cast our spells, Atlas and Defend. And then we have to die without dying, which means we have to use pixie dust before dying. And nice.
We'll see. I got a lot of health left.
So and by dying, the game tries to cancel the spells you have on you, and Evermore has a lot of bugs. So it will copy the poison tick timer over your strength basically, which is higher. No, it will subtract the poison tick timer from your strength instead of the amount you got from Atlas. So you are under flow, and if you have full stamina you make 0 damage, but if you have 0 stamina you make max damage, unless you crit.
So anything that you see that's not a 999 now means I got a critical hit, and that's bad because it can mean that we have to do extra attacks on bosses or enemies that are in our way. Get a little extra money right there. And now, for those of you that were playing this when you were growing up and just for the life of you could not find Sting, here's your simple and easy way to do that. You run upright from that first oasis and then straight up. And we should have a guy waiting for us to give us the Sting formula.
You sure?
There he is. Giving me a heart attack. Alright, so there are 2 enemies, 2 bosses in this game that I still can't damage with my spear. So we're going to need that alchemy spell for them. So right now I'm going to do something that's set up for a fun little trick. But I need a little more HP to survive it.
So we are grinding for money and levels right now.
So yeah, basically the only things that can hit me right now are the desert environmental damage and maybe something like, I guess, plague or corrosion could do that.
Can you get plagued? I don't think so.
Verminator could.
Ah.
Alright, so there's 120. And I get to take a break for a while. So, Olvind, if you wanted to plug Save the Children, now would be a great time for it.
Well, we seem to have time indeed. Let's talk about Save the Children. So, all the money that is donated during this marathon will be given to Save the Children. So, pretty much, this charity helps children who are moving across borders, that are living on the streets or refugee camps, for example. The child protection teams of Save the Children, they work to keep children safe around the world, regardless of who they are and where they are from. So, for example, they work closely with other organizations, governments, non-profits, and a variety of local partners, and they maintain their own independence. They don't have any political agenda. They don't have religious orientation. And by donating to this event, you help us to help them in making the world a better place. So thank you all for donating. And I will also take the time to thank our sponsor, Twitch, for sponsoring ESA Winter 2020 and their continued support of speedrunning events. So for those who might not know, it's a live streaming service operated by Twitch Interactive, which is a subsidiary of Amazon. And it primarily focuses on video game live streaming, and including broadcast of esports competition, music broadcast, creative content, and more real live streams. And so you can actually have, given it's a subsidiary of Amazon, there are some things you can do with Amazon Prime. So Amazon Prime members automatically gain access to Twitch Prime, which gives you a free subscription to use each month. And all subscription revenue from ESA Winter 2020 goes directly to Save the Children. So all subscription and all bits as well. So if you want to donate, go ahead. And a subscription to ESA Marathon goes a long way for the charity.
All right, thank you very much. So speaking of donations, I'm assuming I'm getting attacked by chickens?
You definitely are getting
right.
attacked by chickens.
Awesome. So I'm not just trying to kill time right now.
This is an actual strat. It's faster to make this than to buy the stuff you get for this.
So yeah, I guess I should point out, this is on console, so anything that you see me do here, you can do on console if you own this game. It's not just emulator specific. I don't know why anyone would sit here for this long in a normal playthrough, but alright. So it says we receive rice and spice. We actually get 99 of each, which, as Sliver said, is a whole lot quicker than getting enough money to buy those. And now I have to do a bunch of purchasing. Get 8 perfume, we'll get 30 beads. Go up and get 11 chickens. Go ahead and pick up some tapestries while we're at it. And head over back to where we found Atlas. There's a couple hidden merchants in here. We need some of their items. Okay, so there was also one spell we didn't pick up in Act 1 just because it would have been really far out of the way, but you can actually pick it up in Act 2 if you missed it. So this fish vendor up here actually knows how to teach Cure, so that's convenient. Get these Amulets of Annihilation for a very cheap price. 3 amulets for 1 bag of rice. Seems pretty good to me. Alright, we're running a little bit low on spice, so we're going to go ahead and purchase some more. These 2 vendors right here are perfect for a cheap method of getting rice and spice if you're playing casually. Alright, we'll pick up souvenir spoon. We'll actually start to pick up some of these charms that we're going to require for 100% completion. Get this jade disc, which helps our accuracy. And we're also going to be picking up armor while we're here. That'll be important for the the Coliseum once this 15-minute timer's over. Just need to finish up with 12 perfume. And I think that's it for that. Now, for those who play Link to the Past, you figure, alright, these chickens aren't going to do anything to you. You can just talk to them over and over and over again. But what Evermore does is it's very good at breaking the fourth wall. That prophet knew we were in a video game. And someone's talking to us right now. Yes, me. Do not taunt the chickens. And there we go, down to 1 HP for the next fight. Now, had that prophet not given us a bronze armor, we would be purchasing a little more. I think I got everything. I hope I got everything.
Well,
So,
yes, so.
there's the end of that timer. So, not too bad on timing there. Alright, so another example of cutscene RNG. He can either walk down like that and scroll the screen super far down, or he can walk straight to the right. We got the bad cutscene RNG, costs a couple seconds. Something you have to deal with. Alright, so we're going to prepare for the upcoming boss fight. We're going to pick up these chests in here, and because I got all of the armor that we can get in the marketplace, we're actually going to get a special item that I don't have to spend extra time purchasing later in the run. So while we're preparing for the next fight, do we have a donation to be read out?
We indeed do have one. We have a $10 donation from Mirapois saying, Solar, you got this. And let's see if we got any bids. We do have bids for the run of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That's coming right after. It's actually the fate of the horse that was mentioned a couple hours ago. And actually right now, Kill the Horse is at $305, and Save the Horse is actually at $15. So if you want to save that horse, like, don't hesitate to donate for this incentive. And yeah, we should be good now.
Poor horse. Man. Alright, if you pay attention, you might notice some characters from Final Fantasy VI underneath that canopy right there. So, there's no sense in saving the game anymore, because if I reset, I'll lose the Atlas glitch. So I won't have my invincibility or my super strength. So, really the only thing that's going to end us is a soft lock. And wow, we have a lot of chances of soft lock in this game. This is one example. I have to make sure I don't kill him while his arms are raised in the air and he's cheering on the crowd. Otherwise, the game will soft lock. So we're gonna quick hit in, and then we're gonna wait for a moment. That is Vigor. Way to go, Badger.
Almost all bosses are gonna be dead so fast.
Yeah. So really, in the speedrun, the bosses are trivial. It's your pathing and execution to get there, and relying on a lot of RNG. But the one cool thing about 100% is we do get to showcase a few extra glitches you don't necessarily see in something like any %. So this right here, if you notice when we fought Magmar, we saw an evil twin of Fire Eyes. This is an evil twin of someone who we're going to meet very shortly. And that seems to be the big baddie behind all this talking to him. Alright, so we're going to re-equip the spear as soon as we can for maximum run speed. And make our way back through the desert. Now one fun little trick is, this reverse exoskip, like I said earlier, is a little difficult to do, but if you leave the dog sniffing up there with R, you don't even have to really attempt it. You can just switch to the dog, run up, and it'll transition the screen for you. So we're going to pick up Revive right here, which is a heal spell to bring the dog back from the dead. We collect that for 100%. Kill him because there is a chance he could plague the dog, and having the dog dead right now is not what I want to happen. Alright, so this entire section is locked out until you get the dog because he needs to jump over that gap right there. Hooch why? Okay, so meeting the main story character in this act. Get that dog's HP back to full. Is quite a long cutscene, and we do want to skip that if we can. So the main character in this act is called Horus, and we're going to skip his introduction cutscene. Or at least try to. We'll position the boy over here. The trigger is right above him. We're going to do another screen transition. I think we got it. So while the screen's transitioning, you can still move around with a character. So I switched to the boy right there. And yep, we got it. Alright, so this unlocks Madronius. We skipped the entirety of that introduction. He gives us Revealer. We'll come back to purchase ingredients soon. And this is Horus, who's being kind of shy and hiding underneath the canopy. And now we can go to the kind of first dungeon of this act. So this is Halls of Kalasha. Kind of soak in the music and the ambiance of this. Pretty great music track. So what we got from Madronius there was a Revealer spell, which allows us to see invisible bridges. But if you memorize these patterns, you don't actually need to use that. And we're going to do a little bit of a break right there. So if you step off that bridge, it brings the dog up to you and closes the bridge, but because we kind of skipped off to the side, we'll be able to leave this room, and we still have the dog right at the entrance, so we can do a little quick exit. Alright, and we'll go fight the first mini-boss. But while I'm kind of running around, do we have another donation to read off?
Oh, we seem to have one, indeed. $10 from Elwis MW, who donates $10 saying, "Streamer, have you ever PB'd with people in chat before?"
Oh, Elvis, I owe you a PB so bad. Alright, went for the risky strat there, paid off. So that's a pretty good example of leashing right there. It's kind of like jumping over the bridges we did in the big bug maze. Psycho things. So if there's a bunch of triggers on the ground all throughout Evermore, but if you have an AI control character go through them, they actually don't trigger. So I just had the dog start to walk up and then switch to the boy, and then after the dog had gone past that gate trigger, switch back to the dog and run through. Saves a little bit of time. Alright, so this is the final room of the ruins before the boss. See how far we get with the dog before he dies. I'm expecting he will die. But come on, Rush, you can do it. Alright, you're done, Rush. You've done all you can. And there he goes. So much like any percent, we get the Mad Monk, get the Bronze Spear, which we need to access the boss, but in 100%, there's actually this secret area we have to go to pick up Fireball. And also, it's the quickest way to get the second axe armor for the dog. So I don't know how many of you found this when you were growing up. Right, we'll use the dog to talk to him, we'll give us a collar, and then we will use the wings to get out of here. So you're going to see me be using the wings a few more times through the run. They do serve two purposes. The one we're seeing right here is it allows you to escape from a dungeon. And whenever we have a chance to show off their other purpose, I'll be sure to bring that up. So the Horn Spear is not heavy enough to hit that switch, but the Bronze Spear is. So that's why we had to go through this whole dungeon to get this. And we chose to do this dungeon first because... why not? We're going to hit this boss while he's not even on screen yet, because it's Evermore, and that's how the game functions. But another trivial boss. And that is our first Diamond Eye, one of two that we're going to need to progress the story. And we're not going to the pyramid yet. We do have one little bit of business to take care of. We have to go pick up Escape, which is basically the wings in spell form. And we need to buy some vinegar. Alright, to the pyramid. So the pyramid is going to be a dungeon that we split the boy and dog up again. The dog's going to be used as a mechanism to open gates for us. And the boy is just going to be dodging enemies as best he can so we don't lose time. But while we're doing this, do we have another donation we could read out?
We do indeed. We have $10 from Mirepoix saying, "Here for Elvis."
It's a great movement in my community. Hashtag here for Elvis. I love you all. Wouldn't be here without you. Even if you do just torment me half the time. Alright, so we have some kind of cutscene skips, if you want to call that, coming up. We're going to do some more frame-perfect character switching, and it'll allow us to save some time, get control of the boy, and walk through these gates that open up. A little earlier than intended. So I can move around with the boy right now. I have control of him. Don't have to worry about the screen scrolling back to the dog as it normally would. We're going to pick up another wings here. And we're going to do one more little kind of shortcut on a cutscene.
So what is supposed to happen is if you jump on the trigger, the camera pans to the door, shows the door opening and pans back. And if you switch frame perfect to the other character, you only get one transition, which is a lot faster.
Alright, so I failed running blind right there. So it is possible to actually break that barrier and get to about right here with perfect movement off screen with the boy. It's pretty hard to do though. Alright, so like I said, in 100% you need all alchemy spells, but you also need all call bead spells. And it just so happens that Horus, his call beads, you can actually gain 2 additional spells. And there's Regenerate, there's one of them. Have the boy walk through the wall right there, it's no big deal. Ooh. Bone buzzards are killing me. Alright, so it's time for Rimsala, the boss of the pyramid. We're actually going to go into our menu and skip the confound animation, so we have access to the character a little quicker than normal, so we can get a quicker kill and hopefully avoid Rimsala traveling all around the room before we can actually damage him again. Alright, and there's Rimsala.
We need to wait here for the diamond eye, because if you leave too early, you will not have it.
Alright, so, you know, I've actually grown fond of the diamond eyes. I know story-wise you're supposed to give them up on this screen right here, but I'm going to try my best to hold on to them. So we're going to try another kind of leash mechanic here. Got it. So there's a trigger right there that you can step on that activates a cutscene to give away the diamond eyes, but you can do that with the dog or the boy. You can leash through that and actually skip that whole cutscene. So we actually still have the diamond eyes, which will actually, it'll be useful for later on in the run. This guy is going to give us the drain spell and is also going to sell us some water, which we need for Sting. And we're going to go back to the market town, Nobilia, to take on the evil twin of this act. Alright, so the boss here is Aegis. He has 3 different masks that he can wear, and depending on which one he's about to put on, I guess he does have different stats. I know if we get the circular one, his evasion is going to be pretty high, so it is possible to miss killing him before he actually becomes invincible. We're going to hope that doesn't happen. And then immediately after that, we're going to do a little bit something similar to what we did with Outro Skip, in that we're going to use a trigger to break control of the game over us and move the dog a little further up to shorten the time on a cutscene.
The bridges on the right and left side explode when you run into them. Pushes you back and you get back control of the character.
So right now we shouldn't be able to move around, but we can with the dog. I'm going to put him up there because when the dog moves to some point when a trigger is activated or from a script, he actually walks very slowly compared to the boy. So you want to make sure that you can do your best to either position him close enough to his ending point as possible, or use him to activate a trigger and have the boy be the one that has the farthest distance to move, because the boy does move faster at walking speed than the dog. So here we have Tiny, who just threw that energy core all the way past the ruins, if you imagine how far that was. So it's important here that we do have 6 call beads. If we had any less, Horus would be giving us that difference until we did have 6, but because we do have 6, it's actually going to give us the Staff of Life, which is just more progress towards our 100%. Alright, so there's that. So the next boss coming up is Aquagoth, and he's going to be the first one that we're going to have to rely on Sting. Kill him. But I want to spend as little time on that room as possible, so I'm actually going to level Sting up a little bit here. we're back through the desert again. Enjoying that? Oh man. Listen, if you don't get angry at games, this would be a perfect game for someone to run if you want to get into speedrunning. There is a lot of RNG that can mess with you. So this guy's going to give us double drain now that we've defeated Aegis. Glad I didn't forget that. And it's actually quicker to fall into a pit here to get to Horus's camp instead of just running all the way around, so that's what we're going to do right here. And we're going to make our way to the final dungeon of Act 2. Alright, pretty good RNG right there. Mad Monks didn't block my path. There's really nothing spectacular about this dungeon. Kind of walking through a maze. There is one chest that has 3 call beads that we're going to pick up. It's very short. The real execution part is making sure the dog is pretty close to you before you step onto this teleporter. Yeah, that was pretty good. Alright, and here's Aquagoth. He's off in time. Alright. Barely. Alright, and now we're going to start Act 3. The probably biggest pain to go through. So this is an act change, so with every act change, the dog's going to change form again. You already get a little bit of a spoiler by looking at the HUD right now, but yeah, you can say he's going to be a poodle. This is probably, in my opinion, the weakest version of the dog as far as usability. His attack animation is very short, so he doesn't travel very far while attacking. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is rescue this poor Oglin that was stuck down here. It's okay, dog. I'm not in a speedrun or anything. Take your time. So, we're going to use him a little bit later on in the run. And we're going to pick up Horus's final call beat spell, hidden back here. So that's Aura, and that makes you invincible for a short period of time. Alright, so we get a ticket, we'll get the Oracle Bone. Had I not got the bronze armor, I'd have to get the Thug's Cloak here, but we got lucky. A few more things to pick up in this market. We need some armor, and we need to purchase back some of the charms we sold to pick up other charms in Act 2. Then after we purchase all these charms back, we actually get offered the insect incense. which we need, and then finally the Chocobo Egg. So the Chocobo Egg is something that in the speedrun normally you'll pick up in Act 2, but it requires a lot of luck. Shout out to Lemon here for Lemon Skip, talking to that guard behind him to avoid the whole cutscene of his introduction. There's a cat in every act. So this is deemed the cutscene gauntlet, which is a pain in the butt. Wears on your hands while you're mashing. But you'll see a single head right there. Obviously the body's not within that box. We've got the Unigoat. Pay no attention to the string around its neck. Behold the horror that is Mongola. Seems to be missing right now. Last but not least, this weird oddity, the pig dog. It looks a little familiar. Let's just check on what's going on with Pig Dog over there. But while we do that, do we have any donations to read while this is going on?
Oh, we do. We have a $5 anonymous donation saying ding dong. And I would like to talk a bit about the prizes that ESA offers during this marathon. Specifically, if you donate a certain amount during all the marathon, you will have access to our prize pool. So, for example, ViewSonic gives two screens, so two 240 Hz screens, and one, including one in the bundle with a retro tank, which will help you stream your games, the games of your childhood, on the consoles like GameCube, PS2, etc. ESA also provides the grand prize, which is a Switch bundle with Animal Crossing, which is available if you donate at least $75 during the entire marathon. And keep in mind, this is cumulative, which means that you can donate $10, then $10, then $10. If you reach $75, you will be eligible for the grand prize. And, for example, you have also a custom ESA-themed N64 controller provided by our good friend Lovebot, which will be available from $60 onwards, donated during all the marathon.
Alright, thank you. So what we just did right there, because Pig Dog won the pig race, we gained entry into the castle, and we're supposed to be at a banquet right now, but ain't nobody got time for that. So, if you actually sprint down before, or right after those two text boxes are done in the banquet, you can actually cause the exit script to happen on the screen, and you'll leave, but the flag will be set saying the banquet's done. So we skipped that banquet, but we still do have some stuff we have to pick up in town right now. So we just got that spell, got some more armor we purchased and found in that chest, and now we're actually going to go back through the castle like we would normally. It's important when you're playing through this not to switch to the dog and then leave a screen, because as you can see, he's not on the HUD right now, and if you were to do that, you'd be soft locked. Alright, so you can see the dog's on the left side of the screen there. Typically the game, whenever he's not with you, will put the dog on the closest spot to whatever entrance you came from. So I need to activate a trigger, but he's pretty far away from it, so I'm actually going to move him to the right side of the screen first. And then come back in here and have him walk over to us.
So that's the end of a maze we skipped. And you're supposed to get the dog back here. So that's why we can control the dog now.
I would say the majority of people playing this game growing up, at least I know, I disliked that dog maze way more than any other maze in the game. Unfortunately, we do still have to go through it because there's a queen's key down there we need for completion. Okay, so we're going to be thrown in prison here. We do have to kill all of the enemies to progress once we get out of the jail cell. There's actually 2 ways to leave this screen. We're going to leave through the door once all the gates are opened up. We're going to hope we don't see too many misses on the enemies, as any miss or dodge wastes a lot of time. We'll leave the dog up there. We'll exit through this. So I'm actually going to show a little bit of a weird trick here. Sliver, if you want to describe what's going on while this is happening.
So when trying to open the door without a key, pushes you back, and because the way how Evermore works, can frame perfect switch to the other character and have the other character execute the script, so it pushes down the dog through the wall. It will not check if there is a collision or not.
And we have to do that because we already had the cutscene with the dog leaving the maze, so we actually do not have access to the maze in a legit fashion right now. So while I'm going back through this maze, do we have another donation we can read off?
We do have one. It's Mirepoix again with the $25 donation saying, Solar, please, for real.
Oh, you love your community, Solar. You love your community.
Thanks, Mira.
Yes, thank you, Mira. Very generous. We probably have time for one more donation while we're going through here.
Oh, we do, and I think you need to hear this one. We have, ladies and gentlemen, $100 from Fuzzy. Saying USA, 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 USA.
America.
And he's putting this donation towards the Showcase Perfect Stealth of Metroid Zero Mission.
Thank you, Fuzzy. Alright, so we just used wings there, but you said, you could see right there, it said it didn't work. And while that's true, we didn't escape from anything because this isn't technically a dungeon. Part of the script still did trigger. We actually aren't being detected by these enemies right now, which is useful because we need both characters. Thank you, dog. Welcome to the fight. So we don't waste time having the dog get hit as we sprint through here and waiting for him to get up to the trigger for the boss fight. So same kind of thing here. We're going to be using the wings so that we're not detected by enemies. They might still block me just because of RNG, but hopefully not. Actually pretty good run through there. Why couldn't you happen during a PB attempt? And now, the fated Dark Forest. So for a typical any percent Dark Forest, it takes a while, but you eventually do learn the path through it. Unfortunately, this is 100%, and we have to pick up a spell that's on the opposite end of where we're trying to go. And so I'm going to be paying attention to this. one good thing is I'm not being distracted by my chat while I go through here. Constant cheers of bits. Not gonna lie, I thought I got lost there for a second. Having a heart attack. Alright, so this guy gives you 1-up, which is basically pixie dust in spell form. And we'll use wings to get out of here. Now we're going to transition the screen before it's fully loaded, so the following screen we're going to be running blind. Not too big a deal, we're just going to be going back and forth. We'll eventually get through it. There we are. And now we're going to take the normal route through Evermore. Through the Dark Forest. So yeah, the execution for this part of the run is just making sure you're cutting corners as close as possible, having your pathing pretty tight. You want to avoid getting contact with enemies as they'll slow you down as you go. This is really where you start to notice a difference in your accuracy if you're not leveled up. This is where you start to lose more and more time as enemies or bosses dodge you, or you just completely miss. If you ever get lost while going through here, if you look up on the trees, you'll see those little gremlins. Because I've been forced to call them gremlins.
They look like gremlins. They are definitely not owls.
Oh, they're owls.
No,
But if you follow them, you'll be on the right track.
they look like that.
Okay, fine. Well, I see 6 owls right there. What do you want from me? Alright, so there's a dodge. We don't want to see that. That was just an early swing from me. No time loss, really. Alright, not too bad a fight.
Nice.
That,
Good RNG.
oh yeah, it was good RNG. It was. Alright, so luckily we don't have to worry too much about the weapons. For the most part, we get them as we go along. It's usually the spells that really put us out of our way. Alright, one final section of the forest to go through before we fight Timber Drake. But before that, if you remember that Oglin we rescued as soon as we got to Act 3, he actually has an item for us for rescuing him. And that item is progressive based off of what we already have. So, because we already have the Thug's Cloak from Act 2, it's going to give us a Wizard's Coin. An item that boosts your magic defense a little bit. Not too important for this run, but useful for other categories. Alright, let's see what kind of RNG we get from Timber Drake if he flies towards us or if he flies away from us. Because believe me when I say Evermore is a game of seconds in a speed run. Alright, so pretty bad RNG right there. So we're going to be going through these sewers. There are 3 slimes that control us with misses, or they could drop an item, which would be a nightmare in a normal speedrun because it costs time to pick up the item and you can't run through it otherwise. So that first slime we had a miss, not too big a deal. There's another miss, time starts to add up, and then the third slime was alright. Alright, so in this prison, it's gonna get handled a little differently. Do a little glitch right here. Bring 2 enemies out of the same jail cell, save a little bit of time. And so now we're in Ebon Keep, an exact replica of Ivory Tower, the first castle town we were in. We're gonna find Verminator, who is our second and final boss that we need to kill with alchemy spells. But before that, we're gonna talk to a familiar face from Final Fantasy, if you all recognize Cecil. So when we buy that armor, he gives us the bazooka that we had originally in the intro, which you didn't get to see, and 1 projectile. So aside from that, we have 1 more spell to pick up, and then it's off the Verminator. Now, while we're traveling the Verminator, I do want to mention, like I said before, this category is pretty awful for a marathon. I'm very grateful that it's part of it, but some things can troll us. And an example of that is the 12.5% chance that this is going to be a 99% run just based off of RNG. So after this fight, we're going to have an introduction to this Axe main NPC. And right after that, we're going to try to get Super Heal, which is held by Neris. Now Neris gives us a 50-50 shot. And that's all it is. It's up to RNG between choice 1 or choice 2. What? Alright, so that's Verminator. In a normal playthrough, if you take too long to kill him, he is a nightmare, because he casts very powerful spells that do a lot of damage, regardless of what level you're on. Alright, so we're going to have some big introduction here, a few cutscenes, and then after this, we're going to go talk to Neris. Now, we're going to have 3 opportunities in this run to talk to Neris, because if we fail to get Super Healed, there's a 5-minute in-game timer that has to pass before he'll actually play his guess how many marbles are in my hand game again. In a normal speed run, we skip the first attempt and just leave the run up to 25% chance of failing, but because this is a marathon, we'll do the 3rd attempt. Fingers crossed. And while this is going on, I'm gonna just kinda ask you guys 1 or 2. Killing me. Alright, Alvin, I'm gonna leave it to you, 1 or 2.
Let's go with 2.
Alright, we'll leave the first choice up to 2. Right now, Sliver, you're off the hook. I'll save you for later if we fail. So this is Queen Camellia Bluegarden. She's gonna give us her own call beat spells. Tell us that everything that the Queen, who we haven't really talked to too much yet on the other side of Act 3, how she's evil and is trying to invade, yada yada. So now, after this, we're going to be going back there to defeat her. Unfortunately, as soon as we entered the sewers, that drawbridge that we came from raised. So we're going to have to find a different way to get back to Ivory Tower. Another little RNG hallway fight here. Average fight. Nothing too special about it. Another good example of cutscene RNG coming up. The dog has 1 spot he has to go to, but 2 paths he can take. We got good cutscene RNG. That's nice. We can go straight down those stairs, or we can walk up
All the way
and around and then down the middle staircase, wasting about 6 seconds. Alright, so this is Tinker, and he's actually pretty integral to us getting back to Podunk. we're telling him about Professor Ruffleberg and the space station we were on. Which again, you didn't get to see from us skipping the introduction. Now, what's really important to take away from this cutscene right here is this telescope is very high class for the age we're in. We can actually hear their conversation from this far away. Okay, so a couple spells to pick up, and we're going to pick up the Night Basher, which we need to destroy some barriers that are blocking our path. Here we get Slow Burn. Get the Explosion Formula. And the Night Basher. So because we're going to go check on Neris, I'm actually going to swap to the Spear here, because whenever the Spear actually does become available on the screen, it's going to be faster to sprint the Neris and then back through the sewers with that instead of the axe. Alright, so we had the votes for number 2. Let's see how that happens. Hi Neris, what you got for me? You're killing me. You both are. Alright, so that's one fail. We'll have 2 other attempts. Hi, Rat. Alright, coming up is my nemesis in Evermore. And everyone knows he's my nemesis. Sterling. There's kind of 2 strats you can do on Sterling. It depends on where he spawns. Because we're not really showing off the Easter egg, I'm gonna go risky strat. I hope you...
Sure?
I'm sure. I'm feeling confident. It's just Evermore.
Okay.
What could Evermore possibly do to me?
You know it.
I mean, we might not even be able to do it anyway. So, right before we get to the boss platform, we'll be able to see if he's on screen or not. If he's on screen, we're going to do the safe strat. If he's not on the screen, we're going to go for a quick kill. Alright, so he's already loaded on screen, so we're going to go for the safe strat. No sense in risking anything. And that's Sterling. So, as you've seen from the run so far, a lot of bosses are trivial, but this guy actually has extra mechanics scripted into him. He can actually pick you up and drop you off the platform, which wastes a ton of time in the speedrun. And that'll happen anytime you get too close to him. He's also a good source of a soft lock if you kill him while he's in the process of casting a spell. So if we did drop, we did definitely want to avoid that. Alright, so that big baddie we just beat up, he's actually going to carry us over to Ivory Tower Sewers. Very kind of him. And when we exit the sewers, we're actually going to see the cutscenes a little out of order. We'll see the cutscenes that we should have seen leaving the sewers the first time before we even went to the chessboard. Pick up corrosion here. And then leave with the dog as it's a little faster. So aside from the banquet cutscene that we skipped, this is the first official time that we meet the queen and talk to her, after we've already done everything else in this act to do, basically. So she's going to give us the instructions to go over to Ebon Keep, get them to lower the drawbridge. But we're actually just going to go over to the left side of the screen and fight the final boss of Act 3. Right before we handle our business with the Queen's Key. Alright, so if we didn't go down here to start this cutscene, we'd actually permanently miss firepower in Ebon Keep, because we'd never be able to get the key from the dog. Alright, so Mongol is not too bad. There's 2 pairs of puppets we have to destroy. A quick kill on the second pair. And that's Mongola. Alright, so this evil queen, when she comes to attack us right here, this is where we finally get an idea that these actually aren't people, but they're robots. Gives us a little bit more insight into what's going on in Evermore. And now coming up is the biggest source of cutscene RNG in the game. We have 3 characters that have their own individual paths, and we're either going to get a normal path or a very long time loss. Alright, so we got the good RNG. So all 3 of those characters can individually go all the way around the throne room to that center spot and then walk down those stairs. It's a lot more rare for that to happen, but occasionally you will get 1 or 2 characters to take that path. So Sliver, I'm gonna need you to guess. 1 or 2?
2.
2? Alright, we'll go with 2. I did not fly all the way from America to here to have a 99% run and this be my fault. Alright, Neris. Don't let me down.
I'm sorry.
You're not sorry. You're obviously pleased by that. Oh, man. Okay, so if you want to see a wonder of modern technology, we have the Windwalker right here, the Flying Furnace. So we're done with the bosses that are in Act 3 that we can fight. The idea is we need to get back to the space station, and Tinker's going to help us get there by building a rocket, but we need certain parts for the rocket. He tells us we need the diamond eyes, we need a gauge, and we need a wheel. The diamond eyes we saw in Act 2, and the gauge and wheel are from the machine we saw in the center of the volcano when we fought Magmar. Now, if you remember, we did the diamond eyes skip after we went to the pyramid, so we actually still have the diamond eyes, so that's great. So all we need right now is a gauge and a wheel. But we're going to make a quick pit stop. There's a few things we have to pick up for 100% along the way. We're going to go up to Horus now, who's living in the palace, and he's going to give us barrier. Random door opening scene right there. All right. So I think I started to mention it, but didn't really get to finish it. The in Act 2 in the marketplace, it is possible to get the Chocobo Egg, but for a marathon, highly improbable. So we're doing the slower backup strat for it. So we're gonna fly down to the bottom of the desert right now. And there's a Mad Monk here that spawns if we do not have any Amulets of Annihilation in our inventory, and luckily we already gave away all 3 that we had. And he offers to sell you an Amulet of Annihilation for 10,000 jewels, which is outrageous. But if you do purchase that, he'll actually give you another item, depending on what other items you have. So we already have the Thug's Cloak, we already have the Wizard's Coin. So he's forced to give us the Magic Gourd, which has absolutely no purpose whatsoever in this game. It's a broken item. Or, give me a heart attack. But he had no idea someone was going to buy this worthless piece of brass jewelry. And there's the Magic Gourd. Alright, so that's all of Act 2. We skipped the whole tiny fight because we have the Diamond Eyes already. There's nothing we have to worry about going to the left side across the river for that. Now let's head to Act 1 and pick up the gauge. Alright, so these are the final 2 uses of the wings in their broken sense. We need to get to the top of the volcano, and we need the dog not to be getting hit or eaten by these flowers. And I'll switch to the dog, actually. It's quicker to run around with the dog and hit these triggers than it is to do it with the boy and have the dog slowly walk to them. Now, you have to wonder, what in the world happened to the guy that gave us the levitate formula? I don't think he had a warning about that volcano exploding. Kind of feel bad. Alright, so we'll pick up the gauge. Now, we have 2 items. We need 3. I'm going to do some shopping in Act 1, and then we're actually going to take these 2 items back to Tinker. We need to buy some more armor here. Kind of the tier 2 armor in Act 1. Now we'll go ahead and pick up the tier 3 armor. Along with the dog's collar. And then finally we'll pick up Miracle Cure from Strongheart in his hut down south here. Now this is where you would normally get Cure early on in the game. It's a spell we skipped. Okay, back to the Windwalker. Now, oddly enough, it will also spawn here, and not just where we landed in the first place. Good RNG from Tinker. Walk towards us. Gave away the gauge, gave away the diamond eyes. Boy. And now it's time to go get the wheel. Now, the wheel is held by Coleoptera, who's kind of a mimic fight to Thrax that we fought, the first boss of the game. A little more difficult, but the wheel's in the cocoon. But for some reason, I'm not going to the Bug Muck to go fight Coleoptera. For some reason, I'm going back to the volcano. You think, well, that's kind of the slow way to get to the Bug Muck, but it turns out that because Evermore is Evermore, the game doesn't actually care which items you give it out of those three, for the most part. So we're actually going to give Tinker, he already has a diamond eyes, he already got a gauge, we're going to give him another gauge, and he's just going to miraculously make that work as a wheel for the rocket. Also, for some reason, the gauge gourd repopulates after we turn those items into Tinker, making this possible. Alright, so, as important as this Windwalker is to us, I mean, the main character is he's a good lad, but he messes up sometimes. He might actually wreck the Windwalker. So we're actually going to do something called landing skip, where if we did this too early, we'd soft lock ourselves, but now the Windwalker is completely unusable for the rest of the game for landing in that pattern. Alright, time to go to Act 4. So this is kind of like the space-themed act of the game. It also has the best doggo, the best rush, Toaster Rush. Strongest dog, best defense, fastest dog. So there's a trick we're going to be doing coming up in a tiny bit called Saturn Skip, found by the Tasser Saturn. Where in the world are you going, dog? But before we get there, we're actually going to need to get a few things. What is my RNG right now? So every time you play through this, those 3 switches are randomized, and you'll be able to unlock that guard from a different switch. And I just got really bad RNG and had to unlock all 3. Can't believe I hit that after he went so far off screen. Alright, so that robot is now back here and is going to give us Reflect. And through the power of AI pathing, we'll eventually get through this little section. The boy will just walk right over. Alright, so Saturn Skip is going to allow us to get into these rooms a little faster than usual. Do you want to explain how Saturn Skip kind of works?
It works the same way as the earlier trigger. When you frame perfect switch between the characters, it is as if you press the button the other character. And these doors can only be opened by the boy, but if you frame perfect switch, you will open it as the boy.
We're coming in here to buy some armor and do a currency exchange.
And it allows to skip all of Act 4, basically.
Yeah, and any percent, we go straight to the final boss. We don't do any of these rooms. We don't even meet Professor Ruffleberg. And 100%, we do have to do some of those things. So we're going to do select rooms. Pick up Old Reliable, a helmet here. We're going to come down here to turn on the greenhouse lights. We do that. We're not actually going to go into the greenhouse, but we're actually turning the lights on because the storage room has a chest we need to pick up, and you can't pick up chests in the storage room unless the lights are on. Wait for the boy to sprint back to us so he doesn't start walking when we hit that trigger. Alright, we'll pick up the titanium vest. And then we'll finally meet Professor Ruffleberg. There's not too much more left in the game. He's going to send us on a quest to go pick up an energy core, which we're not going to use, but it's required for 100%. And it'll force us to pick up a few extra things in Act 3 as well.
Neris.
Ah, yes. We do have Neris left. You know, I was pretty comfortable until you brought him up. Yeah, so we're 0 for 2 right now, so the run's down to a 50-50 shot, actually, if we're going to be 100% or 99%. And so far, the only correct person has been you. I need a 1 or a 2. 2. Alright. That is one dead cat. Alright, so we'll buy the final armor in the game. I already had that. And then we're gonna head back to Act 3 to go pick up the energy core. Real nervous about this. Real nervous about Neris. He's been 1-1 so far. Alright, final chance for us to get super heal from Neris. Don't really have the time to wait around for 5 minutes otherwise. Moment of truth. My man! Alright, so this will be a full 100% completed run. Thank goodness. Alright, so we'll pick up the energy core and we'll get 2 spells here. The one spell we get automatically. The other spell he gives us because we purchased the Oracle Bone. Where are you going, Solar? We just have the kind of long run back to the spaceship. We do have Nitro and the final axe to pick up in Tinker's room. Now we're not actually going to switch back to a spear right now. We're not going to be on a screen where the spear is actually on screen. And we're going to pick up a spear as soon as we land back in Omnitopia. So we don't have to worry about that. So all that's left to get for 100% is the Laser Lance and Energizer. And then we'll just go straight to the final boss rush. Go ahead and save just for fun. Let's try a bufferless Saturn skip. Took way longer than I wanted that to. Alright, so to the final boss. So the final boss is kind of a rush of beefed up enemies you've seen in the past. When I say beefed up, I mean super strong enemies. But before that, we have to destroy all these fans. Okay, so first up is going to be 3 waves of pairs of raptors. This is all about quickly killing them at this point. There's nothing they can really do to you. You just want to not see too many misses. That was a pretty good raptor. We just have to do that 2 more times. You'll be in charge of time when Carltron dies. But not yet.
Yeah.
Alright, so that kind of gives you a good idea of a little bit of time you can lose just from the misses that show up, and then just kind of running around.
The dog can die.
Oh yeah, so the dog can die here, which is an issue, mainly because too many entities on the screen or too many effects will cause a lot of lag. So I'm going to keep the dog out of harm as best I can. Alright, so with those done, we've got 3 Eye of Rimsala that we have to destroy. We're going to do our best to protect the dog. He is in this corner, but can still be hit. That was a really good fight. We'll kill that robot to save some time. So now we have evil versions of us, the bad boy and bad dog. The bad boy is a joke. The bad dog, though, is a royal pain with insane evasion stats. I was gonna say, if he didn't at least bark a little bit, make me a liar. Alright, we've got Metal Magmar coming up. Do our best to keep him from sprinting around. $20,000 HP in all. And then Carltron, the final boss. So we're keeping him to the left side of the screen right now to despawn a little bit of his explosions. Time. Woo. So that is Secret of Evermore. Now, you think that the glitches and the brokenness of the game are done. There is one final thing I want to show off real quick. It's not going to take too long to do. But we can actually still technically break the game even though the credits are rolling. But in the meantime, I just want to say it's really interesting how the Evermore community finds new ways to find interest in itself. So we have Black Sliver here, who's been working on a, we'll call pre-alpha version right now, of a randomizer for Secret of Evermore. Right now, it's in a patched state. Here we go right here. See, so I just broke out of the credits right here. If you've ever wanted to feel super strong in a game, bring the Toaster Dog to Act 1. It's a fun time. All right, so we'll just keep the credits rolling again. So yeah, we've got an open world version of Secret of Evermore right now that Black Sliver is working on. It's making great progress on it. It's looking really good. It feels good. Hopefully this will turn into a randomizer at some point. Couple of months. No promises on any timelines. But we also have PS3003, who has submitted and set a new record for the any percent task, which is under 7 minutes, using well, you're gonna have to say it. I can't think.
Arbitrary code execution.
There you go. Arbitrary code execution, which is a very great watch if you want to check that out. But yeah, so that's Secret of Evermore. Like I said, I'm solarcell007. This is Black Sliver. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Evermore community. Hopefully we gave this a good showing. Thanks to our community for supporting us to be here today. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the marathon. Thank you for all your donations during this and all the donations that are to come. Support Save the Children, please. It's a worthy cause. And yeah, just enjoy the rest of the marathon. Thank you.